and then tried to finish the one that I had started earlier in the week. Uh, Yesterday, I tried to do that, but my brain decided to stop working and became so scattered that I couldn't bring it back down to earth to just focus on the lesson that I was trying to do. It was just going here and there and everywhere, and I just couldn't keep all of my 7 brain cells corralled in the same pin. So, um, I just typed out the thoughts that I was having, and I'm going to read those. Pray for me and for yourselves. Um, let's see. Yeah, I typed that down and just going to read the thoughts that I was having. That's going to be my lesson. It may be short or long, I don't remember. But starting now, dinosaurs are cool. Like, actually, really, really cool. There's big ones and small ones with teeth, and ones with beaks, and ones with frills, and ones with crests, and ones that are bipedal, and ones that are quadrupedal. There's so much variety, and that's just in the fossils. We don't even know what they really looked like, but they are so fascinating. The biggest one that I can think of off the top of my head, I believe, is called Ultrasaurus, which I think I'm probably going to be saying the I thinks and I believes a lot because it's been a long time since I've taken the time to sit down and read about dinosaurs. But the estimated length was around 70 feet long, and they may have just been a Brachiosaurus, I don't remember, but the longest one was, I think, Diplodocus or Apatosaurus or maybe Argentinosaurus, all of which reached lengths greater than or almost to 100 feet and like 20 feet at the shoulder. That's like a giant lizard cow giraffe that's as tall as the church and is almost as long as my house, and then another of my houses butted up against the end. And I really want to pet one. Like, imagine that thing's leg would be bigger than a cow on top of another cow. Have you ever seen an elephant? Like an African elephant, like the big ones? They're big, they're huge, easily classified as big. These dinosaurs are like the height of 2 elephants on top of each other. That's just the height of the short ones, like the short big ones. The tall ones that I was talking about earlier, the Ultrasaurus that may have been a Brachiosaurus, are massive. The Brachiosaurus grows to be almost the same length as the long ones like Diplodocus that I mentioned earlier, around 85 feet instead of 100. But it is thought that they can raise their heads up to around 40 feet off the ground. That's taller than tall. That makes us closer in height to giraffes than giraffes are in height to them. That's almost as tall as Matt Elder. Like, for perspective, I think that, I don't know how tall the church is, probably about 20 feet. It's like 2 of the churches tall. Like, that's where the head would be. If you fell off of one, you would get injured. You'd break your legs. Like, just fell off the shoulder. If you fell off the head, you probably wouldn't make it. I really wonder what dinosaurs tasted like also. Like, I don't know, but imagine riding a Brachiosaurus. Yeah, you would break legs or hands or something. And, like, those are just the big ones. There's so many different kinds. Imagine finding an Ankylosaurus in the wild. That's the big bone monster, armadillo, tank mace, boulder, spiky ones with the clubs at the end of their tails. And I wonder what it would taste like too. I also wonder what dinosaur eggs taste like. They would be so enormous. They'd be like the size of a football. You'd fry one and make an entire omelet. What about the little dinosaurs, though, like Compsognathus? I wonder how fast they would have been. Like, would they have been as fast as a chicken, or faster, or slower? What kind of noises did they make? Maybe God made all these things to just make us wonder and use our brains to make up stuff for them. Like, the depictions of dinosaurs are mostly just speculation. They have to get like artists to look at the skeletons and imagine what these things would look like with bone or with, sinew and muscle and skin on them. And they have like no idea what colors they would be. They found a few imprints of skin that were fossilized in the mud, so that's really cool. But it's like just imprints. It's not the actual skin. They just kind of know what texture it would have been. But anyway, I think God really likes it when people are creative. And people have been obsessed with dragons forever. There have been lots of cool stories revolving around dragons. And I think God revels in the creativity and curiosity of his creation. Like How to Train Your Dragon. The amount of creativity to make up all those different kinds of dragons would be incredible. And that's not even touching the actual story, which is great. I love that movie, and I bet that it makes God's heart smile whenever creations he has made, such as dinosaurs, inspire us to come up with our own stuff. Because that in turn just shows us even more, when we take the time to think about it, how glorious God really is. I think it's why God made dinosaurs in the first place. I think he chose to make them so that we could marvel at them and be so incredibly in awe of the magnitude and splendor of these amazing creatures that he knit together piece by piece from his very own mind, that we couldn't help but admire him in turn. But dinosaurs aren't the only thing that proclaims his glory. It says in the Bible, I forget where, that if people stopped praising him, the stones themselves would start to. I think they already do. Everything from the smallest Compsognathus to the biggest sauropod, that's the big dinosaurs I was talking about earlier, the big giraffe lizards, they all shout his glory. Some with the same with the smallest leaf to the biggest tree. Everything in creation is screaming at the top of its lungs just how amazing and glorious is the one that created it. So, as you go out in your week, try to remember that when you're having a bad day. When things aren't going how you want them to, tune into the screams of nature to hear it quietly exclaiming his praise as loudly as it can. That's all I had. I don't think a lot, I guess.